It is now my great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker this morning, Ms. Jodi Scholtz. Jodi Scholtz has been the Group Chief Operating Officer of the National Department of Trade and Industry since November 2009. Prior to this appointment, she served as the Chief Operating Officer in the International Trade and Economic Development Division of the DTI. Since she's joined the DTI, she has been involved in a number of projects across the department. She was an integral part of the DTI's project team to initiate and implement the Public-Private Partnership project to relocate the DTI to Sunnyside. She has facilitated a number of workshops for the establishment of SAWEN, that's the South African Women's Entrepreneurship Network, and has played a role in the transformation of the DTI since 2002. She has also been responsible for the development and implementation of strategic planning at the DTI. Her key areas of responsibility in the DTI include strategy and public entity management, marketing and communications, and internal audit. She is responsible for the development of the DTI's strategy and annual business plan, as well as the DTI's annual report. Her primary mandate is to facilitate organizational improvement, monitor organizational performance, and facilitate process efficiencies. She currently chairs the DTI's Risk Management Committee, the Ethics Committee, as well as the Risk Management Committee for Economic Development Department. She holds a bachelor's degree in arts from UCT, an honors degree in commerce from UWC, a diploma in international trade policy and law from Harvard University, and a postgraduate diploma in trade policy and practice from the University of Cape Town. It is now my great pleasure to call on Ms. Jodi Scholtz to deliver her address.
Good afternoon, Vice Chancellor, distinguished academics, honoured guests, proud and I'm sure very relieved parents, and certainly and not least to all of the graduates. It's my absolute privilege to address you on this very auspicious occasion, and I do hope that this is the start of a series of graduation ceremonies where you would be coming up onto the podium and getting acknowledgement and recognition for your hard work as students. I'd like to thank the Vice Chancellor for the opportunity to address you today. I think Prince is very aware that fostering a culture of learning is something that I hold very close to my heart. As I stand in front of you and I look out at everyone, I'm really excited about the possibilities that each one of you will bring to South Africa. As I look at you, I see the spirit of a strong work ethic shining through. As a proud South African, I think it's really wonderful to see the great strides that young South Africans today are making, overcoming obstacles that many of our parents haven't even dreamt of facing. So you've triumphed firstly in the classroom and now in the lecture room. And for that, I think you all need to give yourself a round of applause. You're standing at the crossroads in your life, and I hope that you'll seek all the guidance that you need before ploughing your hard-earned knowledge into the right sectors of our economy. Government has set some fairly ambitious targets of growth, and I think we all have a part to play in industrializing and diversifying our economy. So please give deep thought to how you want to better South Africa, but I think more importantly, how you want to go about achieving that while still being passionate about what you do. The most exciting feeling when you're career-minded is knowing that when you wake up each day, you're going to fulfill your passion and not just go and have a job to do. I say this in front of you as a public servant, and I'm sure that this is not something that many public servants would want to be proud of. But while I acknowledge that the public service does get a bad rap for many things, and many of those things are true, there's still a very committed cadre of professionals who are really working to make a difference. And so my challenge to you is that as a South African, making a difference starts with you, and it starts here today. I often tell my colleagues when they're complaining about the workload or the kinds of things we need to do, that there's very little point in complaining. Get involved and make a difference. It sounds cliched, but just think about it. You're young and you're in charge of your career, and now that you've graduated, and it's your responsibility to make that contribution to a South Africa, and a South Africa that we can all be proud of and participate in. As a country, we find ourselves in a tough spot. Like many of us here, many of the graduates, South Africa is now an adult. The first 21 years of life showed the promise of what adulthood would be like. Now that it's here, it's a lot tougher than we originally thought. And so we need to put our shoulders to the wheel and start the hard work. And like all of you graduates here today, you all know that success comes at a significant cost. And it's a cost that can be discounted for no one. That cost is good old-fashioned hard work. My mom has a saying that says, the only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. In fact, looking at many of you here today, I'm reminded of how I started my career. My first job was in a call center, and I can promise you I hated that job. I'd wake up in the morning crying and saying, I really don't want to go to work today. My dad would say, well, two things. You've got to get up and you've got to be present. Secondly, I'm not paying off your student loan. You've got to do it. So the key lesson for me was that you need to work hard and you need to persevere. And I think that's the best advice and the best example anybody could have given me. And I think that's helped shape and mold me. As a senior official in the government department, and incidentally, the Department of Trade and Industry received its first clean audit for the first time in its history. And I'd been part of that myself and the CFO. And so people ask me, how did you achieve this? What did you do? There's no silver bullet. It's not a quick and easy. It's just a slog. It's taken us 5 years to get where we are today. We've had to plan meticulously. Sometimes things work out, sometimes they don't. And I think that's where the lessons of perseverance, getting up and showing up really helps me. And so my advice to the young graduates today is that there is no quick road. You need to put in extra hours at work, make some sacrifices, often on the weekend, read some more, get a good mentor and network. I think these are some of the skills that have stood me in good stead in my career, especially as a young woman. And so while many women are breaking the molds, breaking through glass ceilings, there's still a long road ahead for us. So I think I'd like to challenge each one of you to set yourself some goals and work and plod along to achieving those goals. You are all at the cusp of exciting and endless possibilities, not only within South Africa, the continent, the rest of the world. And all that's required from you is to commit and to put your shoulder to the wheel. But as a South African, it is also my duty to talk about the culture of entitlement that seems to pervade our society. South Africa is a land of opportunity, but you need to work hard to entitle yourself to a share in that opportunity. So I'm sure that today you are excited and you have your degrees, but that alone won't automatically get you a job. But if you're passionate, dedicated, and willing to put in the time, then you are able to contribute significantly and meaningfully. Just reading the Business Day on the plane as I was coming through to Cape Town this morning, everything points to the fact that we are indeed in for a rocky time. The first quarter growth has put South Africa in a technical recession. But this is not only a South African problem, it's a global problem. Look at the recent Brazilian downgrade, the migrant crisis in Europe, some of the issues arising out of our trade relations, particularly with the US around the Africa's Growth and Opportunities Act. Given all of these challenges, I think with the skills that you've attained from this auspicious university, puts you in a really good stead to earn your place and to really make a contribution. Looking at your job search and the first few years of working, it is a tough environment to be getting into. But I'd like to encourage each one of you to find somebody that you can chat to, that can mentor you and can help guide you. I have a lady, her name is Sarah Moriani. She was one of the housekeepers at the Department of Trade and Industry. In her youth, she was an avid runner. And who knows, if circumstances hadn't turned out the way they had, we could have been celebrating one of her victories at the recent Olympics. But that was not Sarah's story. When her mom passed away, she had to take over the responsibility and care for her family. So she's had to give up her goal of running and competing. Instead, she took up a housekeeping job because she was the primary breadwinner. So she would wake up every morning at 3, pack in lunches for her family before leaving home at 4, catch 2 taxis to get to Pretoria to be at work by 6. After the full days of work, she still found time for her passion. So while she couldn't run, she took up soccer, and what a soccer player she is. So some of my most poignant conversations and inspiration have come from really unlikely sources like Sarah. She would often chat to me long after everybody had knocked off and say to me, "Hang in there, things will turn. Who do you need to speak to?" Chances are she would know somebody in another building, another department, and would help connect me to them. So my message to you is that inspiration and motivation often come in the most unlikely and unexpected encounters. So turning back to your job search, some of you may have found employment. Some of you may have been lucky to find employment in your field of study. Yet, there may be some of you who haven't yet been successful in finding your job or your dream job. But this is where I think, as South Africans, you need to find your spirit, dig deep, and plow on. The search for employment is not an easy one, despite your amazing qualifications that you've attained. But as you begin your search, please don't forget the basics. As a recruiter, I deal with dozens, if not hundreds, of applications daily. And often, my comment would be, why didn't this person just put on the spell check? Using the South African English and putting on a spell check could make the difference between your application and somebody else's. And often that's what sets CVs apart. So please pay attention to the small things, like doing your homework on the preferred company that you'd like to apply for. Chat to somebody, find a contact, give them a call, ask some questions, and then find a way to weave this into the answers that you give when you get there for an interview. So, parents and guardians in the audience, these things may seem obvious, but in actual fact it's not. So please pay attention to the small things, because your CV is actually your most important marketing tool after all. So on that note, let me round off. I think there's a lot for you to absorb, and it's a long road ahead of you. But as you embark on this journey, let me quote one of my favorite childhood authors, Dr. Seuss. "Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind really don't matter, and those who matter really don't mind." So please focus on learning. Be curious, ask those questions, and let this drive your career throughout your working life. I'd like to extend a heartfelt congratulations to all of the graduates here today. I want to wish you everything of the best and congratulations. But please also take some time out after this to party and to celebrate, because you really have made significant achievements. Thank you.